Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 330 of Sold with Updike Pugh.
I'm Jeff Updike.
I'm Weston Pugh, and today on the show, we're going to feature a house at 4416 North Hall Street, and that is in a very, very unknown to the outside world neighborhood of Perry Heights.
It is. Great neighborhood. And in our second segment, we're going to talk about, are buyers waiting for interest rates to drop? And if so, are they making a mistake?
Good question, Jeff. I hope you have the answers for that.
I've got all the answers.
Of course you do. Of course. Have I ever heard that? All right. So before we jump into that, we wanted to kind of discuss the zip code of Perry Heights that it sits in, that 75219, and kind of give you some background on what actually makes up that zip code, and then we'll talk a little bit about what some of the what's happening in some of those markets.
So Perry Heights is a really decent sized zip code. It covers about 2.29 square miles, which is not one of the larger ones. It's got about 25 to 28,000 people in it. It is one of our highest density neighborhoods percentage wise, because it does have a lot of single family homes, condos, townhomes, duplexes, multifamily apartment buildings. It's
a unique in that aspect, because I also feel like it's one of the very few neighborhoods that can have like the starter, your first one bedroom, and it can go all the way up to the penthouse in downtown. And it just, that's a swing.
It is, and it is it's a neighborhood that I think a lot of people move into. That is when they're kind of stepping away from like their college life, because over 70% of the people in that zip code have bachelor's degrees.
And so I will piggyback on top of that and say that I think that it's exactly that, but I think that it has the exact opposite end of the population pyramid as well, because how many times have you and I sold houses to the people that are like, we're done with the suburbs, we're done with that, we want lock and leave, and this is a really great area that has enough lock and leave for you to get a variety.
And walkability.
That is, you can park your car on Friday night and not have to drive it until Monday.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing too, there's a lot to do. Like you're not just walking up and down like Katy Trail or whatever. You can walk to different restaurants.
A lot of parks. There's a really cool park right at the end of Perry Heights that has tennis. Do they have pickleball there?
They do not, and I want the city to put those pickleball courts in so badly. You knew I knew that.
I knew you knew that. Crawford. It's called Crawford Park. But it's got a little hike trail around it. Not a big one, but walking trail, I guess is better. Basketball courts. And that's not the only park nearby.
No, there's plenty to do in this area. So also one of the things that we're going to do now is we're going to switch gears and we're going to tell you some of the marketing numbers. And I think this is really important, where things are going to kind of hopefully make sense, because we could actually use this data and really create crazy clickbait. And it just goes to show that clickbait is not always the best information that's out there for you.
Right, that is true.
It's too varied.
It really is. One of the great things about this neighborhood is the abundance of restaurants there, because there is everything from Nashville hot chicken, which is on the less expensive end of it, all the way up to, high-end steakhouses out there. And you've got, gyms you've got gyms that are like the LA Fitness level gyms, but then you've also got an Equinox there. So there's just a diversity in 75219 that you don't find in many other places.
No, but it also makes it real difficult to get the numbers right.
It does.
So the numbers today that we're going to talk about, the criteria that we actually, I guess, really just wanted to get the 30,000 foot sampling. We're going to look at all the properties. So we're looking at condos, we're looking at townhomes, single family, as we are talking about today on Hall Street. And we've combined both resale and new construction, because there's both of those products in this, because we see so much infill product, like older things get torn down. And so this will kind of help give you a wider view of what the numbers look like.
There are currently 222 homes on the market. Inventory in this neighborhood is one of the different neighborhoods that has actually been decreasing since last year. Most neighborhoods, you're seeing things which to me says that we're seeing a lot more sales in 75219. The either people have become realistic in what they're wanting for their properties and taking them off the market, or they're selling, and I think it's a kind of a combo of the two. They were comparing that to January of 25th, January of 25, and January 26th. We had 237 homes on the market.
And that's not a big switch. We've seen, like I think last week we had a lot bigger swing on that, and that basically gives you about 6.6 months. One of the other reasons why I think we're seeing a little change up in this is because, you know, you talked about a lot of the buyers getting their first home. Those are buyers that are really, they're much more sensitive to the economics going on. They're much more sensitive to markets, so that can have an effect on that. And currently in January, there were 36 homes that actually went under contract and sold.
That's a good number.
That's a good number.
More than 10% of the inventory.
And so just kind of give you an idea of what this looks like, the range for these homes that sold. Again, this is where numbers really have to get dialed in. We're talking an entry level at 110 was a low, and then the high went up to 1.35 million. So that's
So it was 110,000.
110,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not homes you can buy for $110 out there.
110,000, sorry. So anyway, that is just a massive swing. So again, a great, a very diverse zip code. There is a lot of ways to get out here and enjoy this, and it is definitely one of the most sought after zip codes ever.
And talking about, you know, the house itself we're talking about is in Perry Heights, and so, you know, Perry Heights has a history on its own, and it's a really important history. This is, you know, where we talked before about there are neighborhoods where people will buy in the same neighborhood, the inventory almost check. This is one of those neighborhoods.
The other one was over there at Milan when we featured that house.
Yes. Yeah.
But this is definitely one of those neighborhoods where they will buy the next house in the neighborhood because they want to do something to it.
Yeah.
This house was established, this neighborhood was established in, 1922? I mean, it's an old neighborhood. This is also one of the neighborhoods where predominantly we're talking about craftsmen's, tutors, so there's a lot of front porches. The trees are extremely mature in this area. I will tell you my first experience in this neighborhood, and this kind of is a testament to like the actual people that live there and what a community they have created, is that I was looking for a client, a home, and Jeff said, just go knock on doors and find out if anybody's looking to sell their home, which I did. And after about being there for 20 minutes, one of the neighbors approached me and she politely asked who I was, which I presented my business card. And she said, we've been calling and talking about who you are wandering up and down the street. So anyway, it's a really cute little neighborhood. They are definitely a community.
They are. And there's two portions to it. There is the overall Perry Heights neighborhood, which consists of Vandalia, Hall Street, and Rollins. But there's actually a small conservation district within that.
Correct.
That is just the homes on Rollins. And those are really, there is no mandatory association over the rest of it. There's no governing body over the other two streets. But there is a governing body over most of Rollins. Not all of Rollins, but most of Rollins. And that's that, it's that level right below having a historic district.
Correct.
Which is,
I'm fine with that. The historic neighborhood districts, you have to love that house to be in there. One of the things too, I'm gonna go back to community, is that this community in and of itself decided that in the 1970s that they no longer wanted through traffic. And they were able to work with the city and some of the zoning requirements to actually change the way that the traffic flows. And so you're no longer able to enter into the neighborhood from Lemon, whereas before you could. Now you've got to go down Wycliffe to come in. So that really did change the traffic patterns. And I think that's one of the reasons why this neighborhood has kind of stayed quiet and under the radar. Like, you know.
Yeah.
But if you're not from Dallas, you have no idea. Like a realtor from the suburbs is probably have no idea what this area is.
and the neighborhood themselves paid for all of that. They paid for, they actually paid to have those fences put up. You know, in a lot of neighborhoods, like over here in Bluffview, there's a little cut through street that people, you know, they did those 12-inch round pillars, you know, buried in the ground to keep people from cutting through. This actually built walls where those streets were because they didn't want the pedestrian traffic walking through there either.
It's a smart move. I mean,
It
it
is.
really does insulate this. And this is a geographically very definable neighborhood, being Wycliffe, and then you've got Cedar Springs, and then the park sets down on the west side, and then it goes all the way to the Wycliffe right there on the southeast side. So it is easily definable.
So there are things that the locals love about this neighborhood.
Tell us what they love.
One of them is one of my favorite restaurant, Albernays. Albernays is such an experience. I'm going to tell you a little quick story. I actually knew Albernay really well for a long time, and then we kind of lost touch over the years. But I knew him when he was managing a restaurant downtown, a high-end steakhouse downtown. And a friend of mine named Karen Purvis and I would go to the restaurant in the afternoon, and we would drink martinis.
Yeah.
And we'd do this, I don't know, once every 2 or 3 months. It would, when, we just, like, it was our good afternoon thing. And Al would be, getting there to get ready for dinner service, and he'd come and sit at the bar with us, chit-chat for a while. And he was really, he has passed away in the last year or so, but he was such a great, great restaurateur.
This is it is definitely, this is like Nick and Sam's, or this is like Bob's Chop House. This is it is this caliber. It is a destination.
Yeah, it is.
So this is like an original, again, you can see it's established, what is it, 25 years ago? Let's flip gears and talk about Enoteca. Enoteca is an Italian restaurant. And Enoteca, did it start before or after COVID, Jeff?
I think it started after, if I'm not mistaken.
And they took a leap of faith, because this is in the bottom of the Centrum building. The bottom of the Centrum building kind of is a curse. Nothing ever makes it.
Yeah.
I mean, Steel did. I'll take that back.
Steel did okay.
Yeah, but it never was like,
Yeah.
But this place, and I remember telling you guys, because you always have happy hour on Friday, I said, if you're ever in the area, go. I mean, they need us because it's great food. And you came back and said they were busy, so I had to go check it out. And I went last Friday, and it was packed on a Friday night.
Yeah.
And I was like, good for y'all.
So this is family owned and operated, and they have such well-trained staff people. Yep. They know the menus, they know the dishes, they know how to, it's not, and it's different from some places where the server walks up and they're like, and let me tell you about the specials tonight, and they just start reading it. They know how to converse with people about the dishes and just share more detail than I think a lot of other like rehearsed places go.
And you probably should have a reservation, but I got to tell you, we walked in and got right away. And Dallas is notorious for, do you have a reservation?
Yeah.
Well, then we can't seat you.
So now we're going to kind of go. So we've gone from Albernays, Enoteca, which is a wonderful restaurant. We're going to go to Roy G's. Roy G's is a hamburger place right at the corner of Cedar Springs and Throckmorton. Roy G's is the place you go after happy hour.
Right.
It's the old diner. They've got outdoor seating. This was owned by the guy that started Black Eyed Pea.
These are his kids.
Yeah.
This is great. They have one of my favorite chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
Because they brine that chicken sandwich and they do it right when they fry it.
They sure do.
So I'm a big fan of this one.
So after you fill up with your chicken sandwich and have your martinis, run over to Turtle Creek Park. That'll be a good way to burn all of that off. Turtle Creek Park is, this is Arlington Hall at Turtle Creek Park. And Turtle Creek Park really extends up and down sections of Turtle Creek. And it's just a really great place to go. They have Easter in the park here. It's a wonderful place to just go take a blanket and have a picnic.
But the interesting thing is, if you get involved with the whole like civic center portion of this, you get access to their race day, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
So it's really a great facility. You see a lot of weddings do really high-end weddings out here as well. Yeah. So it's a good thing.
And one of the entertainment things that's in the area that you would want to know about is American Airlines Center. American Airlines Center is currently the home to the Dallas Stars. It's the home to the Dallas Mavericks. It is a concert venue. I've seen Lady Gaga here. I've seen Elton John here. It's a great place for a concert.
Absolutely, and and for the games, I think it's even better. So we'll see how all that plays out in the near future and see what happens. But without further ado, let's start talking about 4416 North Hall Street. Again, this is zip code 75219, and what a treat, because sometimes you get a house that has not been renovated, and this is 100% different that way.
So this is definitely a front porch neighborhood. This house at some point was expanded, I think, by the current owners, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was what Lance told us. And you walk in, and it's still got that really great charm to it.
Yeah.
But I felt like the ceilings were higher in this section of the house, which I don't always feel like that when I walk in. Maybe it's just the way the light was. I know when you step into the dining room, they do go up to 10-foot ceilings in there.
And like we said, it has been renovated. And I don't know if they tore it all the way down the studs, but they did some of the really big heavy lifting. So I was like picking around when we were previewing, and those windows are, the separation in those two panes is enormous. So really good energy efficiency on those windows. Can lights as well, kind of getting the whole thing freshened up. I love that the floors are wood, still have that nice continuity through. And we have a really interesting way where we come into this portion. This is where the ceiling really got vaulted up.
It really was. And this rolls right back into the kitchen. And the kitchen was done beautifully, has an island, gas cooktop. I love the black matte appliances. I feel like they blended really well with the darker cabinetry on the bottom.
Yeah, and we have I wish we could see the top of the countertops, because that countertop is very luxurious. Like, they did not shy. It has a deeper color palette to it, and it just works really well. I also like the fact that they did the colors where they were darker on the bottom, lighter on the top, and took all the cabinets all the way to the top without skimping. Gas appliance, nice double doors out to the back, and we're going to get to the back because it was really pretty amazing. When we kind of pivot around, you see you have plenty of workspace and the farm sink. One of the great things about this floor plan is that we're going to talk about 2 bedrooms down. And that 2 bedrooms down really gives us a lot of versatility, because, again, we still have so many people that work from home. This is something that's greatly appreciated / needed. This bedroom right here is on the back of the house and looks into the back. It's a little bit out of order, but this is the master closet. Okay, so when you come upstairs to the master, this is truly amazing. I don't think this picture does it justice on how large it is.
Yeah.
Because it actually has another seating area and walks out to its own private balcony, almost the width of the house.
This has, and this is the entire upstairs of the home.
That's true.
It
Great
is
point.
a huge, huge room. That's a king-size bed, and you've still got room for a couch, and you feel like you have plenty of room if you want to put a coffee table in there.
And then you have that section where you could just work.
Yeah.
Again.
And a beautiful bath. Love the way they did the architectural tub. The steam shower, I don't know if we get to see it from the side, but yes, we do. Steam shower is double-headed steam shower, and I really like the tile they selected in this.
I got to say, I don't think that there is probably another bathroom as large and as nice in that neighborhood, because this is really torn down. Now, one of the things we're going to do is take and pop up. We want you to look down, because this is really unique, because you actually have basically a second house that is in the back of the house. It has its own porch. Driveway goes up to it. And then when we look still in the backyard and we're looking the other direction, this lets you see how much actual space you have, both dining, seating on the first floor, and again, additional seating off the master. This does not face west, which is amazing. I think the whole thing works out really well.
I do too. The building that we get to look at in just a moment was formerly the garage that had been converted into guest suite, mother-in-law house, whatever you want to call it. It's fully self-contained, has its own air conditioning heating system in it. They are currently have it set up as a gym, which I think is an okay use for it. But full kitchen. I mean, this is like it's like a tiny house.
You can use it. I would 100% use this as you've got those guests that come. If you've got guests that come from across the pond, this is a great place for them to be able to stay extra long. Again, you can see how large it is. We have a full entire rack plus sideboard plus bed. It has its own mini split. It has its own washer and dryer, stand-up shower. It really is a massive value add to this house, because whenever we've had a house that has these in the past, this usually is one of your huge drivers. Even I know my neighbor bought the house next door because it had that.
So this is 4416 North Hall Street. It's 4-bedroom, 4-bath, built in 1924. It's about 3,563 square feet, and it is priced at $1,549,000.
So we want to say thank you so much to Lance Bland for letting us feature this home. It is an amazing home. One of the things that we like to do is put the link in the comments below so that way you can click on it and you can share it with friends and family, zoom in and out on that map and look at all the photos. And if it is...
And we have floor plans too.
Floor plans. Yep. Forgot to do that. That's right. So if there's something that you want to see and this is it, let us know and we'd be happy to make that happen. There, I said it.
Okay. So are buyers waiting for rates to drop, or would that be a mistake?
I can tell you right now that I feel like 80% of the population thinks that they have to wait until mortgage rates drop. And I don't know if it's us as realtors not educating ourselves enough to be able to talk about this, to turn this around, because we're going to talk about why. But this to me is I think it's a huge problem. I think people have made huge mistakes that didn't buy when it was 7% and there was no competition. And now rates, what are we going to forecast them to hit? 5.5, 5.25, maybe even 5. And they can.
I think everybody's that I hear talking says they may hit 5.5, but we're really close. But I mean, rates right now, we were just looking today, and rates, conventional rates today are 6%. FHA rates are 6%. VA rates are 6%.
Which is odd. They're all right there at the same number. Anyway.
So if the interest rates did drop, let's say they fell to 5.5%, your payment
from 6
to 5.5. So your payment at 6% is $35.97 a month
on a $600,000 home.
On a $600,000 home, 30-year mortgage, and if it were 5.5%, it would be $34.07. So you've got about $150, $160. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's about $180 difference between the payments. Similarly, if rates fell to 5%, that house payment would go down about another $180, down to $32.21 a month.
So you're talking roughly if it dropped from 6 to 5%, the entire swing would be right at about $380.
Yes,
and that's a pretty big deal.
It really is. But if you're looking at homes that are out there right now, or if you're considering buying a home that's out there right now, and that let's say that price continues to go up a smidge, which I think the last half of last year was probably one of the slowest markets we've seen since the Great Recession in 2007 to 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
I think it was probably one of the slowest periods that we've seen because we had some really great property on the market that we would get decent showing activity on, and then we had a couple of owners that really wanted to sell and they had to push their prices down.
Yeah.
And we had several homes that we've just brought back on the market that we took off last year.
Right.
And
traffic is night and day different.
Yes, one of the houses we brought on last Friday, we've had 17 showings on it, and probably potentially have 2 or 3 offers today. So,
and we didn't have 8 showings all last quarter.
Yes, so I think the market was a lot slower then, but we are beginning to see it heat back up, and I think we will begin to see the price appreciation kind of crank back up in not to the way it was in the crazy times, but right after COVID, but.
Yes, because I think, if people ask, is it ever going to get back to that? I don't think it can because rates are never going to be like low 3s, high 2s. No. And that is when all hell broke loose. So
I did some research on the National Association of Realtors website because I know they always talk about forecasting. And so, they obviously would like to see interest rates come down because roughly 5 to 6 million more households would come into the marketplace because for a lot of reasons, because they would choose to do it, but more importantly, because when people are buying their first homes, a lot of times they're stretching, and they're stretching their debt to income ratio, they're stretching their down payment. By lowering interest rates and bringing that payment down, that $180 a month on a $600,000 loan, you're bringing roughly 5 to 6 million more people into the market that could now qualify.
Right, and so what we're basically talking about is called a snapback.
Yep.
And the snapback is actually when the inventory is being absorbed faster than it can come onto the market. And this is when things get a little heated because we've got buyer demand has quickly started to rise. If you're talking about, we're dropping it down half a point. So buyer demand will increase, but the inventory hasn't kept up with that.
No, but I think we will see inventory grow. There's people that kind of argue both sides of this. My feeling is that as interest rates come down, if somebody has been holding on to their house that's got their 3.5% mortgage on it, number one, that mortgage is being paid down, and number two, all the reasons they needed to sell 3 years ago are getting much stronger now. And so they're getting this pressure to have to do something. And as the interest rate comes down over here, they're able to take a bigger chunk of that equity and not have to borrow as much.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to see that kind of unfreeze some of that inventory that's kind of locked up right now.
I think that we've got like seller fatigues that they want to sell so badly and they are just trying to time it. And this possibly could be the window that allows them to open it. And what you're talking about, that combination of like, we called it the golden log jam when sellers just could not get it figured out.
Yeah, and for the people that are hoping for interest rates to come down, they would be able to refinance at some point. Timing it doesn't always. Trying to time the market is kind of like trying to time the stock market.
True.
Nobody rarely ever can predict here's the right point to buy or exactly here's the pinnacle to sell. It just happens somewhere around there. And I feel like we're at that moment now where interest rates are affordable. We've got decent inventory out there. We've got some really good homes. And I think people need to go ahead and make that decision to move forward.
So one of the things too that we did was put the numbers together that said if you're refinancing $600,000 and if you refinancing can save you $350 a month on your mortgage, then the cost of that refinance can be, what did it say, recovered in 17 months. I mean, that's a no-brainer because you're refinancing for 30 years and you're going to have that neutralized in 17 months. That's done.
And a lot of people so one of the things that you also have to watch when you refinance is, are you starting that mortgage back over again at 30 years? Lenders offer 25-year mortgages. They offer 20-year. They offer 10-year, 15-year. So I think a lot of smart people, when that interest rate does drop down that 1%, maybe they've only been in that house for 2 years. They got 27 years left or 28 years left on that mortgage. Do a 25-year mortgage. Correct. Chances are that payment's going to stay about the same as what you had before, but you just shaved 3 years off your mortgage.
That's a big. When you do what is it called? What's the name of that actuary table?
The amortization table.
Amortization table. Oh,
yeah, crazy.
That'll break your heart.
Lower rates are going to pull buyers off the sideline faster than sellers can list. So demand is going to be there first before the supply is. I believe that sellers that have an interest rate in the 3s will move when interest rates are in the 5s. That's
I would agree.
My feeling.
I can see that. I think they can stomach that.
Yeah.
I think the 4% jump between a 3 and a 7 is too much.
Or 3 to an 8. We had 8 for a while. Yeah,
And I think that, as you were saying, they want to sell, and the fatigue, and it's going to happen. So I would say, we're talking to clients right now for this exact same reason.
We talked about some of the things of what are some smart buyers we feel are doing right now. They're negotiating hard on the price and the concessions while the competition is lighter, because the market is churning. The spring market's coming. It's 3 or 4 weeks away. Asking for rate buy downs to be paid by the seller. That's going to make your first year mortgage rate in the 4s. So it's going to make your second year interest rate in the 5s, and then you'd be at 6 for the balance of that.
And then you just refinance.
And then and most lenders, that if you've done that buy down with them, and the interest rate comes down, any unused portion of that buy down you can get a credit for on your new mortgage.
Interesting.
Yeah, as long as you use the same lender.
Always if you use the same lender.
Another thing smart people are doing is they're buying based on a longer term hold, 5 to 10 years, not the 12-month speculation. It's always made me really nervous when people say, I want to buy something, hold it a couple of years, and then be able to flip it and sell it. And it's like,
That's in, yes, and those were arms. I dealt with arms all the time. They wear me out.
and one of the really smart things that people are doing is get fully loan approved by your lender before you start shopping. And that means you provide your tax returns, that means you provide all your bank statements, you provide all that information, because there are two parts of getting of being approved for a loan in house. There's you as a borrower and your credit worthiness getting improved, and then there's the house being approved also, which is clear title, good survey, appraisals. Although we're seeing a lot of appraisal waivers right now, just because lenders kind of know for 30,000. Yeah, they know what that's worth. So
there's a lot of information. So to wrap it up, call us if you're on the fence. We can kind of help you out. But I would definitely say, as things continue to appreciate, we didn't really hit on the appreciation of what houses are doing while you're waiting.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother ball of wax.
Yeah.
Anyway,
marry the house and date the rate.
Yeah, it's this famous quote. Yeah. Anyway, we have found this very helpful, and just remember, we wanted to be your realtors for life.